This is a small reflection on something we all experience productivity and how our mind actually interprets it. I asked a friend yesterday, "How was your day? Was it productive?" He said, "Productive is a subjective and relative word, but yeah, it was eventful. How was yours?" I said, "Yes, true, but as long as it felt productive to you, then it was productive. Even if it's subjective, that's all that matters. Mine was good, felt productive to me at least." And then he said, "I wish life was about how we feel and not the way others see it." I said, "Yes, true, but we can try to discard that outside noise of how it feels to others, can't we?" He asked, "Is it really possible?" And I said, "Yes, I feel it is possible. It just needs conscious effort, bringing our attention back to ourselves and centering or grounding ourselves." And he just said, "Okay." But that small exchange made me reflect. How does productivity really mean to us? And how should we actually define it? Because I think we all understand that feeling. There's this quiet tension between how something feels to us and how it looks from the outside. And when he asked, "Is it really possible?" I felt that was a very honest question because it's not easy. We have spent so much time measuring ourselves through external standards that even when we try to come back to ourselves, those voices are still there. Looking back at several years of my life working as a scientific researcher, there were days when I felt very productive, not just in my own eyes, but even from how I imagined others might perceive me. Those were the days when I had clear output, something I could present, something visible, and I felt validated. But there were also other days, days when I spent the entire time trying to figure out one small part of the code for a scientific figure. Sometimes I solved it, sometimes I did not. Or days when I spent hours reading papers trying to understand something deeply, and at the end of the day, all I had written was one line or one paragraph for a scientific paper. Even though I had spent the same amount of time and the same amount of effort, those days did not feel productive. I would go home feeling unsatisfied, like I hadn't done enough. And that feeling became even stronger when I looked at myself from others' perspectives or compared myself to others. In those moments, I did not feel productive and I didn't feel validated. There were also days when I had planned to work on something specific, but because of external demands, which is quite common, I ended up doing many other things. Things that needed to be done but didn't move me towards my main goal. So I stayed busy the whole day, but still didn't feel satisfied. Over the years, while trying to achieve productivity, and honestly, sometimes perfection, I started realizing something. Productivity is indeed very subjective and also very relative. It depends on what we are comparing it to. Our brain naturally compares. That's how we make sense of things. But sometimes that comparison can work against us. And in this constant process of comparison, comparing one day to another, comparing ourselves to others, comparing ourselves to how we think others perceive us, we slowly start belittling our own effort. And we don't always realize that in the name of productivity, in the name of becoming better, we may have spent years feeling unsatisfied, despite working hard, despite having good intentions, despite putting in the same time and energy every day. Because if we are honest, we often ask ourselves, did I do enough? Was I productive enough? Would this look productive to someone else? And somewhere in that process, our own feeling gets pushed aside. Even if the day felt calm, meaningful, or complete, it can suddenly feel not enough just because it doesn't match a certain image of productivity. And then I wonder, with this way of thinking, will we ever truly reach a day where we feel productive enough? Maybe never, because our definition itself is constantly shifting relative to others. So, what can we do? Maybe the answer is not to chase productivity, but to redefine it. First things first, coming back to ourselves, I do think it is possible, not instantly or perfectly, but slowly with awareness. It just takes a small shift to pause and ask, how did this day actually feel to me? Not compared to anyone else, not based on how it looks, but just honestly. Maybe productivity is not something we prove, maybe it's something we feel. And maybe if we bring our attention back to ourselves even a little, we might start seeing our days differently. It also requires actively reminding ourselves that productivity is personal. It's about how you choose to spend your time. There is no external evaluator constantly measuring it, and that's why grounding ourselves becomes so important. It takes conscious effort through reminders, through self talk, through self reflection, and in that process, it's equally important to be kind to ourselves and not constantly critical. Second, measuring time, not just outcomes. One thing that has helped me over the years is this: to measure productivity through the time I give, not just through what I complete. For example, if I decide to spend 45 minutes on something, even though I don't finish it completely, even if I only make partial progress or just understand one small part of it, I still consider those 45 minutes productive if I gave them my full attention. That becomes a meaningful unit, and multiple such focused sessions can still make the entire day productive. Third, structuring a balanced day. It also helps to structure the day in a more balanced way, not just work, but also time for things you enjoy, time for your own growth, time to rest, time with people you care about, and all of that is still productive, even if it doesn't make sense to others, as long as it makes sense to you. And lastly, even those days when nothing feels productive, those unstructured, chaotic days, they are not wasted. They are a part of the process, quietly shaping who we become. In the end, productivity is not just about what we do, it's about how our mind experiences it. And maybe instead of constantly looking outside, we can become a little more aware of ourselves, gently noticing what worked, what didn't, and what we might want to do differently tomorrow. And perhaps that is enough. Maybe the problem is not that we are not productive, but that we are measuring it in the wrong way.